Hello, my fellow crypto degenerates and enthusiasts. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the video. This is going to be a quick one, just kind of updating what I've been talking about in the past few videos here. If you haven't checked some of those out, I've been talking about, just downward pressure on the price and not being too eager to become a bull while that is still going on. If you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe. If you're already subscribed, if you can share it on social media, if you've enjoyed the channel so far, that helps out, more people that are here, the more discussions we can get going, especially during the live streams. I will be doing a live stream tomorrow, as long as I'm not on set. I'm going to be doing a live stream, doing some live trading tomorrow, so that'll be fun. Going to be doing a lot more of those live trading sessions just so you can see some of my decision making on a lower time frame as well. Today I'm just going to take a look at Bitcoin, mention a couple of altcoins here, and then sign off for this video so you can share it around. It'll be a quick one. Like I said, if you're on Twitter, if you're on Facebook, whatever, if you can share it on your social media, helps out the channel. I appreciate it. So let's get right into it. All right, I've got Bitcoin up here. I've got a BitMEX chart and a Coinbase chart, just like those, because those are some of the major ones that are used throughout the world. You could also use a BitMEX and like a Bitfinex chart. Since Finex is Tether, though, it does tend to have a little bit higher volatility for the same size movements, so I'm just using the Coinbase chart for now. Now, I have the weekly here over on the left-hand side, and my candles are colored with this indicator that I have kind of repurposed and adjusted a little bit for my own uses. That's why you see some of this blue and the green and red. Helps get rid of a certain amount of bias, which is good. But the main thing that I want to talk to you about here is, as we've been talking about for a while, the EMA is still in a bullish trend, but we're consolidating along it. Still expecting a thrust down, maybe just a quick one at some point, to hit this 9,000 to mid 8,000 level, somewhere right in here. So I am expecting this previous high over here to get at least tested. I'm just going to use that because it's a weekly time frame, right around that 873 level. So right above or right below, somewhere right in that level. Still expecting price to touch it at some point, potentially soon. Although if we bounce off this 13 EMA once again, we could still see another bounce up into this 11,000 range, or just continued movement in this tighter range here. So we had this weekly that came up. It closed above the previous one. That's always a good sign. Ever since then, we've been kind of coming down. But something that I've noticed no one is talking about, and I've mentioned it in Discord a little bit, but I have not seen anybody say anything about it anywhere else, is that the RSI has a very strong bearish divergence that it printed on these two highs. So the first week of July and then this second week of August here, or I guess, because it's, so this, the 5th of August into the 12th of August, and the 1st of July into the 8th of July here. So those two candle closes, as you can see on the RSI right here and right here, there is bearish divergence on the weekly RSI. That's not something, if I'm a bull, that's not something I want to see. It's a divergence that can kind of go unnoticed because it's almost a flat price action, very little up, very little angle on the price action highs there. But that is a divergence. After a divergence here, these equal highs from here up to here. So that's divergent, that's divergent. Now it's coming down, and this is just enforcing that downward pressure. So we haven't seen any higher highs since that divergence. And now we have this little point. So if we get a weekly close above that, and the RSI can come back up here and invalidate, pardon me, invalidate that divergence, that's when I would get excited. Or if I can get this lower price point where I want to buy. Those are areas I'm interested in. This range is getting a little bit too tight for me to care about it anymore. No longer interested in trading that range personally. I'm out, I'm waiting, I'm mostly in cash. I'm doing a couple of alt plays, but if Bitcoin moves down significantly, cash is still the better thing to be in than most alts. They will not outperform cash versus BTC, even if they go up against it. There's a few that are moving up against BTC's price action right now, so just going to mention those in a second. And I'm sure there's others that I, haven't found, I don't know about. So don't hold me to, absolute fucking standards. I'm no god. I'm wrong all the time. I stopped out of an MTL trade last night. So, but stops don't mean you're, that's a good thing. If you need to stop out, stops are good. All right. So that divergence is the main thing I wanted to mention. Nobody's talking about it. It's a major weekly divergence on the RSI and price action. Could the argument be made that it has already played out? Maybe. Because you could say like this divergence played out to there and then we got a new divergence here. But we did get a new lower low, and that's all we've had is lower lows. I've seen some people talking about this as a wedge. I wouldn't trust that. It's not a very strong signal, whereas a divergence is a very strong signal. So I'm paying more attention to that divergence on the daily time frame. If we look down here and, well, let me just get rid of this line, move both of these down to the daily, and that divergence on the weekly is apparent on across almost all exchanges. So let's look at this price action here. All right. So this was the point that I was talking about before. We've had these Mondays that pop up and then just to sell off afterwards. Also, just structurally, this area where I've got this arrow here looked very, very similar to what was happening over here, and we have had price action continue down after that bounce up. So again, for these reversals, one of the things I am looking for is what happened here, is where we had a candle close that was above the previous daily open and close. That's great. However, it has been just downward ever since without a daily closing above its previous day at any point. Plus, the EMAs were still bearish this whole time. Even though we had a strong bounce up, the EMAs never crossed back bullish on these charts. So until we get a candle to close back above those EMAs, we're probably going to see them continue to give bearish signals and give me a bearish bias. We keep coming down and hitting this 10,000 level and bouncing. Look at all these wicks, so many wicks from that level with just this one drop down. So we could still potentially see a large inverse head and shoulders play out here. Just so you can see that, I'll draw it. Head and shoulders pattern is a pattern I trade. I don't typically trade it on high time frames like this though, just because there's not enough, could be there, or if we get a drop down over here, it could be further. Oh geez, this is all messed up now. So that's kind of what I would look for with a head and shoulders. This one, it's kind of close to each other there, but, we could see this one come down, do something like that maybe still, but that would be what I would be looking for a type head and shoulders type situation, although these peaks are pretty close and it's kind of ugly. It's not something that I have been vocal about thinking is real per se. and it's not a pattern I'm trading on that time frame. But sure, we can watch it. We can see what happens there. If we're not taking the wicks into account with it, then cool. We just draw it from these highs. It definitely looks a lot more legitimate doing that than it does the other way. So, and then I would expect something like that coming back towards that weekly level there at 11.5. Sure, that could happen. That could also happen in this way. It would be kind of ugly over here for sure. If we get a daily close below that 10.1 level of those previous lows, that's lower highs and lower lows on a short time frame. So I would not be bullish if that happened, if I were you, by any means. Of course, I'm already not bullish, so my bias is already a bit bearish. I am trying to look for reasons not to be bearish. I'm just not seeing a lot of them right now. And that continued downward pressure on price throughout is just not making me very confident in the bulls. They're holding this, but they're holding kind of a horizontal level while price continues to fail to have a strong reaction from it. So I am looking for that level, that 10,000 level, to break down for real. We'll get the breakdown, come back up, retest it, and then break down below these lows. I am looking for that to happen soon, within the next 2 weeks, certainly, possibly even this week. So just to go back, because we did have the weekly close, let's chat about that. We had this weekly close. It's a fairly neutral close in my mind. Some people might argue that it's a kind of pin bar or something, but it's not one that I would pay any attention to. It's an inside bar there. If price got back above that level, the weekly open close from the past 2 weeks there, 10.406 is about where it is on Coinbase. 10.4 is really the level. If we got back above that price action on a short time frame, then definitely short term there would be potential for some longs. Coming back up here towards that 11K level, or maybe even a little bit higher, up towards 11.5, like I was saying before. That's not unreasonable. That coming back up and testing it and not closing up there doesn't invalidate any of the weekly divergence or anything else. So that would be a great way to really flush out overconfident bears by coming to that point. But if price action fails to get above 10.4, then I would not expect it at all. So that's really kind of my level in the sand on that high time frame that I would be watching to see if it gets back above. Because price action above that point would be a little 3-candle pattern here, which would be a nice bullish breakout pattern, at least for intra-week. All right. It could come back down, of course, and close below that, but that's the level I'd be watching for that. All right. Coming back down here. Obviously, this daily candle, it's a Monday. We've had a nice big sell-off. The U.S. Open was really when that sell-off happened. If you go down to a low time frame, hourly or so, you'll see it was right around that 9 o'clock hour there where it started to happen. 8 to 9, right before the U.S. Open, right as U.S. people are waking up, stuff like that. That's interesting. I tend to bet against early Monday price movements, but just because my bias is bearish, I'm not longing this sell-off yet. I'll be watching some low time frames, but I got some other stuff going on today, so I'm not going to be live trading. However, like I said at the beginning of the video, if you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button. I'll be doing some live trading tomorrow. I plan on live trading the U.S. Open and through the U.S. close if possible, so it'll be a fun stream, get some guests on throughout the day too. I do think that we could have a bounce up. I just don't really expect that bounce to get back above 10.3 today. So not super interested in trying to bet on that and make some money off that movement. I may try and short a movement tomorrow if it looks good. But I'll be trading on low time frames, so I'll be trading some ranges, some divergences, things like that. Those are my thoughts. High time frame on Bitcoin. Still not seeing anything super inspiring. But like I said, watch for those levels, those patterns, things like that. The main thing is divergence. Divergence is one of the more powerful indicators out there. And learning to correctly identify it on multiple time frames is a very, very powerful tool in your arsenal. So check that out. Remember, weekly signals like that play out over long periods of time, and they are very strong signals. Do not distrust them, but know high volatility can and likely will occur, before they play out. So you have ample opportunity to position yourself well to take advantage of long-term movements like that. All right, thank you so much for joining. Get out there if you're trading today, have some fun. Just to mention some of the altcoins, obviously ETH has been moving against BTC today, the past couple days, I would say actually. But strong price movements on Bitcoin tend to pull everything else with it. So the reason it's been doing that is because it's been just sort of consolidating within a tight range, been consolidating down, technically, which often will make some alts move up against it. I was stopped out of one of my trades last night. I am still in this trade, though. I am still in my XRP trade and my LND trade, LEND trade. That I had mentioned in Discord. I think I mentioned it on the video once before too. But you can kind of see this is my average entry here. I did add a little bit on that down movement after that sharp spike up, and I've got my stop down here on that one. With XRP, I've got Nick's alpha exhaustion on that chart, just kind of showing you how it showed a nice exhaustion there at the bottom after a false exhaustion right before, and another one here at this higher low. Now this pattern here looks a lot like a nice little ascending triangle bottom on that 4 hour. Ascending triangle bottoms are a pattern I actually pay attention to and enjoy. I don't love, though, that the OBV does show a lower low on volume there. That means that was a pretty strong sell-off. However, it's great that it ended up being a higher low. Now, it does show divergence on the MACD here, so that's not divergence. It does show that price and momentum are in sync here. So we're seeing higher lows on both of those. And that's what I want to see for a little ascending triangle bottom. So pretty easy to stop out of this one if it goes against me here. If we come back to this low in the 24 range there, that would definitely be something I would be paying a lot of attention to. My risk stop here is at 24 itself. And that stop will not hit on just a sharp wick down. That is a stop that will only trigger if we get some sustained price movement down to that level. But I will be watching that higher low there. If price comes back to it and I can manage it at the time, that is a point where I would definitely manually stop out, wait for it to reclaim or drop lower and give me a new signal. All right. Thank you so much for joining the video today and subscribing to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet. This is what I do, quick videos like, well, this one's like 20 minutes, but nice little videos like this, give you some thoughts on the market, stuff like that, and of course live streams with myself, guests, all kinds of fun stuff, live trading. Subscribe to the channel, hit that little notification bell as well. And if you can like the videos and share the videos, that's huge. That helps me out. I appreciate it. We do have some reference links if you want to help support the channel. You can always sign up on some of my favorite exchanges with the reference link. You save on fees, or you actually get a little bit of Bitcoin to trade with when you use those affiliate links. do that if you need a new account, or if your account no longer saves on fees. It's good to just transfer it to a new one from time to time. I do that with some of my friends' reference accounts as well. All right, get out there, trade, have fun. I will see you guys tomorrow for some live trading.